stuff. They believe it. They keep on spending money saying, first of all, how many people on the streets of Philadelphia carjacking and shooting each other
20,000?
are going to apply? Yeah, 20,000 cars
Sorry.
are going to apply themselves that they're going to be doing an $80,000 or $90,000 a year, as Jim Kenney said, in stopping this nonsense. But that nonsense is at the root of what progressives believe.
We're in a city, Dom, where even fast food restaurants can't get the staff
Right.
they need to,
Right.
do the job correctly.
And suddenly, these people that are shooting each other are all rocket scientists.
Engineers, yeah.
Yeah, engineers. They're going to be busting atoms down there at the hydrocarbon
hydrogen
center.
plant, yeah.
And then he lures Josh Shapiro. He's spot on. A smarter guy, Josh Shapiro, the masquerader, jumps in to back Kenny. This is what they do. They spend taxpayer money. They grease all sorts of alliances to stay in power. Then they tell you it's an investment. And they tell you you don't want to stop people shooting each other because you don't want to have hydrocarbon green jobs. It's stunning.
Imagine going from a gun to the Higgs boson collider.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about that because I was happy last night. Channel 6 asked me to sit in the audience for the town hall and observe. And
you looked very sleek in the crowd. They panned over your face. Yeah.
I'm just worried about the hair.
Yeah. Yes. No, it looked good.
I found a suit that was in the closet that I haven't worn in years that we thought, wow, now we remember when we bought it, it was really expensive. Why had I not worn it?
Why has it been sitting in the closet?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be wearing it. I took it out. I wore it last night.
You just like being felt with that blue
exactly. Oh, that blue's. I can feel it now. So there was one person thing not mentioned in an hour last night of the two candidates for mayor, handled himself well, and that was Krasner.
What?
Why does no one want to talk about the existential threat to life in Philadelphia? Whether they agree with Krasner and his approach, which he says will solve this, he says, we're not going to wrest our way out of poverty. It's about poverty. And that's why people are shooting each other. What's the evidence of that? Now, could you make an argument if someone's desperate, they steal something? And we get all that. Is that what's going on here in Philadelphia? They can't find
the good old baby powder argument.
Yes, but shooting each other, firing your weapon 60 times, all this type. No, it's not about that. It's about something completely different. Lawlessness, Krasner, out of control. Where's Batman? And last night in these interviews, they did not mention Krasner, neither the candidates or hosts. They didn't mention Krasner at all. All kinds of questions from the audience, Dan. Not one. I restrained myself. I know you can't yell out, Krasner!
Did you get a question?
No. If I had a chance.
They saw you there, and they sent the microphone right the other direction.
I'd be staring down both candidates, yes. All right. Now, let me stare down Phillies fans, too. I think the Phillies have a better than even shot, maybe 60-40. This baseball's random, one game tonight. Ranger Suarez is a big game pitcher. I mean, he can't pitch throughout a regular season. There's usually injury or something else. But when you get him right in a game like this, he has no pulse. He'll do fine. 6 innings, 1 or 2 runs. The guy pitching for the Diamondbacks has to convince me. He pitched effectively against the Phillies the last time. But you know what? Law of averages. I had almost a 6 ERA. He's going to come down to earth against the Phillies. And the third reason is my shakiest, the hometown crowd. Why did all the air go out of the crowd, this vaunted crowd, Dan, when 2 home runs were hit back-to-back? After that, it sounded like a game. And here's the thing. I'm looking on Twitter. WIP put this up. Something to the effect of, how did they put it? Acceptable for Phillies fans to leave early last night. And people are defending this. Well, the team gave up. Why should fans have to stick there? It's a late game. They have to get home with the kids. Dan, the number of them said, well, they have sick parents to attend at home. And all. No.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be leaving in a game like that. Now, you can leave, of course. But the bottom line is, if you want to be this vaunted hometown advantage, how can you be leaving, Dan? So is it acceptable? On a scale of 1 to 10, it's a -10.
No, it's not. It's not acceptable at all. And I was actually sitting there with a friend and said, "This is embarrassing. Like we are all over social media right now as the place to be for
Yes,
baseball. We are the number one fandom is Philadelphia Phillies right now.
allegedly.
And then you have in the eighth inning a stream of people going out the door. It's no, no.
Yeah,
You got to
exactly.
stay for the whole thing. Win or lose, cheer on your team, hope for a comeback, turn your caps inside out, and hope for a rally."
And it was only 5-1. It wasn't like 1,000,000 to 1 or anything like that. So, yeah, it was pretty surprising. Not a good crowd. Now, will they rebound tonight? Well, you got to think that'll happen. So, I have the Phillies tonight, maybe a 4-3, something like that. And Kyle Schwarber, who I'm usually not a fan of, said it best. Not going to try too hard. Focus. Do what you do best. And that's the best way to win. And he's right. And I think it'll happen. All right. Side question today, though. Dipping into the Phillies in baseball, Dan suggested this one. Trey Turner. Give us that all-time alliterative name, okay? Like Trey Turner. I'm going to take off the board one of my all-time favorites, even though as a human being, he's a rat. But as a star, just quality, Mickey Mantle. That name is one of the just,
Yeah, it's a
it's got
great alliterative
everything.
name.
Yeah,
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 it's one of the all-time great sports names. I don't know if you
yeah.
can compare to it.
No, I think it's in the top 5 without a
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah.
I'll take off a brand. Why not take
Okay.
off a brand? Bed Bath and Beyond.
Very good.
Yeah,
Yes. Suppose
and
they left the B off. They would
and
have been a failure.
because I like the bees, Borowski, my last name. How about some Bugs Bunny as well?
Bugs Bunny, Bed Bath and Beyond, and Mickey Mantle to start us off. That's at the end of your call.
Hey, I have a clip that I
Yep.
heard on my way in. Howard Eskin over on WIP, who
Uh-oh.
disagreed with our take on the fans. You want to hear what he
Yeah,
has to
let's
say?
hear what Eskin said.
Here we go.
And I'm getting into this fan thing. We got carried away with the home field. If they don't hit, it doesn't matter what the fans do. And to say the fans are the reason they're hitting, I think is really overstated. They're hitting because they're hitting. They won a game in Arizona, and the Philly fans, they were out there, but not at the level they are here. We get too carried away with that. Hey, look at Texas. I mean, look at that whole series. Nobody wanted a home.
Amazing.
I know. It really is amazing. And yeah, is the home field better in Game 7? Sure it is. But it's not a guarantee. And the Phillies they have to get a lead early. And stop with this Alec Bohm stuff. Let it go, Joe.
He goes on to say also with the fans, you got to put up a good performance. Blame the players. It's the players' fault for not putting a good. They're not hitting, and so why should the fans be cheering there?
Because they're fans, because they in the best of so they only cheer when things are going right. How about leaving? Well, you know what the fans do, Dan? It's not that they're going to make someone hit. That's just an eye-hand coordination, concentration, et cetera, and just qualities that Schwarber has that are almost supernatural. You can't explain how a guy like that has that kind of bat speed. What they do, though, is they intimidate the other team. That wall of noise, when a pitcher is struggling to find this, say it's 2-0, throws a pitch, it's on the corner, the umpire doesn't give it to him. And then this 45,000 people are erupting like that in a pressure situation. It's tough. Mentally, it's tough.
Corbin Carroll, when he came up to the plate, really looked like he had a frog in his throat that he couldn't swallow. Like
Yeah.
he looked
Yeah.
extremely nervous. Final thing I want to ask you, there's a lot of questionable calls by the umpire behind the plate.
Yes.
Does that get in the Philadelphia Phillies' head, do you think? And does that affect how they play the remainder of the game? Because there was a point where I think it was Schwarber, he got the same pitch twice in 3 pitches and actually had a conversation after swinging at the second time saying, that was a ball, right? Yeah, that was a ball. So was the other one. He actually got into it with the umpire. So I'm curious as to whether or not that played into their downfall and not being able to hit.
I think it's better the manager kind of works the ump. The player's trying to do it when you're hitting in that.
Yeah.
That's mixing stuff. Yeah, let the coaches work the ump. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. AT&T and Verizon Wireless. All you have to do is push pound 1210. So give us an alliterative name at the end of your call. And tonight could be just another little bump on the way to the World Series. Or, oh my God, tomorrow, I don't know the reaction. Also, who's right? This idea of Jim Kenny, we're putting in stuff like this. We put in the soda tax. Kids will have pre-K. We won't have people shooting each other. Where's the evidence of any of that? We know what is missing here. It's the father and the family. We all know what it is. You can't say that to progressives. They know it deep down, other than the dumbest, most ideologically driven. What would Jim Kenny say if he ever were a punk and would come on? And we just had a conversation about that. The father and the family, or the two-parent family.
Let's invite him out for some wine.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go to Wegmans, Jim.
Yeah.
Dan, can you imagine that
wine
event?
And cheese.
Wine and cheese and debating Jim Kenny at Wegmans.
Yeah.
That's it. That's as big. We'd have to have a huge Wegmans. They'd be back there feeling the guacamole in the middle of
And
that.
we can invite Dr. Oz to moderate.
She loves salsa. Yeah, salsa there.
No, John Fetterman can moderate. All right. 855-839-1210. Larry Krasner, he's a lawyer. He could moderate. You know what? That's a home court advantage you can have. Larry Krasner can be the moderator. Really, I'll start debating Krasner. Jim Kenny, I don't care what you're saying. I got him here now in a room. That's what this is all about. 855-839-1210. You jump in right now and talk Radio 1210. I don't see this working. Tom Emmer has been chosen as speaker designate. Oh, man. You talk about backbencher, colorless. Dom Giordano show. This is like a Kevin McCarthy.
That's a bravo for being right. This is a mess.
Yeah, that is Kevin McCarthy light. So that means that he is the choice of the conference, and then they're going to be voting on it. Now, he has a big Donald Trump problem, but here's why they think this could work, Dan, because Emmer is trying to buddy up to President Trump now, or he has done it for the last week or so. And apparently all those New York liberal Republicans, et cetera, they don't seem to mind him. I think he'd get a Fitzpatrick vote. So he is the speaker designate, meaning they will vote on him. I don't think it means he takes over for Patrick McHenry at this point. Let's clarify that. The terminology they're using. Speaker candidate.
Yeah, so from my understanding, Dom, this morning they went into a closed-door session behind doors, and they had meetings, and that was to determine who they could all come to agree on privately. So now it goes to the floor for a vote, and this is to determine whether or not they can.
Right. That's what they did with Jim Jordan before. Well, he had the most number of votes, so he was a nominee, and then he didn't have enough votes. I don't see this guy getting passed, but as I said, he's got a Trump problem, but maybe he can fix that. Boy, is this what we voted for? Is this what we got them over the finish line for? All right. By the way, Dom's Money Melody today, Dan promises us the worst cover song ever.
It is by far the worst. It's a what? I'll give the clue now. I'll give it again then. But it's going to be a 90s rapper who's a little drunk on stage singing a very good song. And a little bit of alliteration plays into it, too, with the side question.
Okay.
So tune in at around 2:10 to hear that.
So that's the side question today, dipping into the biggest story, which is the Phillies in Game 7 tonight.
Hey, there's another one.
Yes.
Can I take it off the board? Yeah, no one has it. Philadelphia Phillies.
There you go. That is definitely, we don't think about that. Trey Turner, Philadelphia Phillies, Mickey Mantle, and a little bit of stagflation. Dan noticed with his pizza Lunchable, what's missing?
I'm missing some pepperoni. This is extremely disappointing, Tom. So what happens is you have three little wafers that they have as the pizza dough that, this might sound disgusting, but it's fantastic. It tastes like communion bread almost.
Well, continue.
And then you put this crappy
yes.
marinara on it and fake cheese. And then you're supposed to have 3 pepperoni per each little guy. I had 3 pepperoni for one, 2 on the second to try to make room for a third so I could have 3 on the last one. Then I realized I only had 2 for the last one, too. They stole 2 pepperoni from me. There's supposed to be 3 on each of them.
So, yeah, just another thank you, Joe Biden. Anytime something like this happens, that's stagflation.
This is it, Dom. This is
that's shrinkage.
We're pushing me over the edge. It's
we're shrinking products all over the place, and they think we won't notice. Okay, let's go to Jack in Turnersville to start off today. Hey, Jack, good afternoon. What do you have today?
I got a name for you, Robin Roberts. Notice that the first 3 letters are both the same, Rob and Rob.
Oh, that's going to be
a very good one. All-time Phillies great, without a doubt, mythical name, Robin Roberts.
So that's how they're going to try to slay us. Is there's 3 letters for each, the first and the second. So.
Yeah, okay, that's a good start. Hit us with one though, a name that pops. You hear that name, you think instantly of that's kind of what we're looking for. I'm going to get into this periodically throughout the show. It's about a Philadelphia middle school, Science Leadership Academy. Doesn't that sound impressive? Science Leadership Academy Middle School. It sounds like, wow, this is going to be a STEM school, high-achieving students. Well, this school has embraced grading for equity. That means you don't get graded at the beginning. You really never get graded. They're only interested in your mastery of the subject. You get it? And they have banned extra credit. Now, what kind of maniacs would ban extra credit? They don't want these perfectionistic kids. They think that's not equity. Some people are driven to work harder, do more. Some people at home don't have computers. Some people don't have this, that, and the other. Imagine, though, banning extra credit. And what they said is, well, in the real world, how much, does this really put? Can you imagine these kids getting ready? I'm not staying past 5 today. You're fired. Go back to your middle school. Grading for equity. There's a whole lot more to this craziness. Philadelphia Public Schools, of course. So they think they could put a fancy name, Science Leadership Academy Middle School. How about putting 42 more leadership names in front of it and saying, hey, kid yourself. You don't know anything. You're not going to know anything. And you might grow up someday to say, well, what did Hamas do that was so wrong? That's what the result of this is, too. But no extra credit. Dan, I used to love kids that wanted extra credit, that kind of thing routinely. Other than, I didn't do anything all year long. And now I want you to give me an extra credit assignment that's going to pass me.
Oh, you would have hated me.
Kid, how about splitting an atom without causing any damage, and you might pass?
I've always had the mouse, so if I had like an 88,
right,
but I need a 91, it's come on, teach. You can't give me something to do for those
school
3 points?
district I was in. You could get the first 3 quarters literally a 0, whatever number you wanted. If you got an A in the 4th marking period, you pass for the year. I made sure that never happened. Of course not. I don't care what you did. You're not going to sit there with your feet up on the desk, stand 3 quarters.
What was your honest reputation as a teacher? Were people afraid of you?
Not afraid, but they either loved it or they wanted to kill me. One or the other. That's what I wanted. There was no tepid stuff there.
Yeah. Did you treat students differently?
No.
Basically, angered you or got on your bad side?
No.
You weren't the guy that don't get on Mr. Giordano's
bad side. None of that. Straight down the line, except if you just say, as one kid told me, he had a constitutional right to fail. All right, let's take one more caller here. Then we'll go to Israel with Matt Zucker coming up. Joe of Exton. Hey, Joe, how you doing today? Kind of early. What do you have?
Yeah, hello, Dom. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Joe.
My alliteration is the Phillies fanatic, and fanatic spelled with a PH.
Very nice, Joe. Yeah, that plays into today's theme, without a doubt. The Philly fanatic, one of the great. Yeah, somebody said me last night at Channel 6. You mentioned Bill Giles to a current generation. They wouldn't even know who he is. And Giles is the one who created essentially the Fanatic, wanted the Fanatic. He's the one that brought us Kite Man. To open the Phillies season one year, they had a guy come in on a kite, Dan. It didn't go so well. I think he crashed into something before he got to second base.
I don't know. Who's Bill Giles?
He was a former owner, one of the owners of the Phillies and the president, et cetera. Yeah. Look up Kite Man. You will not believe they tried to do this. A kite off the roof coming in. Kite Man. All right. Matt Zucker will tell us the latest in Israel. How are people feeling since Israel still has not moved in? They are releasing in dribs and drabs. This is the Hamas thing, propaganda each day. Hostages. Yesterday it was 2 elderly women. And it gives them time to show the rest of the world the devastation they're experiencing. And we just are in this Groundhog's Day that just never seems to end. In Israel this time, at least on paper, as saying they are going to end this. So they don't have to worry every single second of every day about maniacs and hang gliders. By the way, I'm looking on Twitter, Dan, from a rabbi and Jeff Bezos on Amazon from the Caterpillar Inc. store is selling this heather gray hoodie that has the hang glider on the front.
No.
Yep. You can look it up. Google it. And it comes in all kinds of suds. I would think blood red would be the color that you would wear.
Wow.
Anybody that puts that hang glider up there and you have just don't talk to them for the rest of their lives until they do 40 days of penance at least. I guess everybody can redeem, but if you're putting hang gliders on stuff, you're pretty close to hell. So I don't know how you're going to be redeemed. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. 2 good ones so far. Hit us with an alliterative name in honor of Trey Turner. Turner's got to at least hit 1 home run tonight as a result of this. 855-839-1210. We'll talk with Matt Zucker from Israel next on Talk Radio 1210. Tom Giordano's show. Before we go to Israel and Matt Zucker, I just saw this Tom Emmer guy, Dan. Now, this really I'm about this.
Uh-oh.
Is a big enemy of the Electoral College. In fact, he may have been the spokesperson for the National Popular Vote Group at one point.
Oh man.
Oh, man, that's
gosh.
it. You
Yeah.
talk
Gotta
about
bring
the
him on the
anger.
show now too.
Yeah, see, Tom Emmer, yes. So, buddy, tell me about the Electoral College. I'm going to go with Tom Emmer over Jefferson, Washington, Hamilton, Adams, Ben Franklin. Let's listen to Tom Emmer tell us why the popular vote should dictate everything we do. Can you imagine if that guy turns out to be the speaker? Wow. All right, Matt Zucker, former program director at WWDB, was with us 10 days or so ago, it seems like, during the beginning onslaught around Israel, which now we're in this period of propaganda and Israel taking some actions, but still no incursion into Gaza. He moved to Israel several years ago and has a son, a reservist, called up in the middle of this. And we want to see what the pulse is, at least as he can tell us in Israel, Dan.
So
Yeah,
is this the guy that
yeah.
was like the ringleader with Dr. Jim Corey and all those?
He was there during
Yeah?
Dr. Jim Corey and Harry Gross. Irv Homer was
That's
still
awesome.
there. Dominic Quinn.
It all comes together. We hear those all. I hear it. It's
The Saucy Aussie.
can't only imagine what it was like behind the scenes.
Oh, my
back
God.
then.
Pro wrestling. Think pro wrestling. Let's go to Matt Zucker. That WWDB was pro wrestling, wouldn't you say, before pro wrestling became that popular? Yeah. And you were
Dr. James Corey,
Yeah.
what a blast from the past. Wow.
Dr. James Amino Corey, Dominic Quinn. Yeah. So which
Oh, my
personality
gosh,
was
good
the
old
most colorful? I would say,
Tom Giordano.
no, I'd say Irv Homer. It's pretty hard to beat.
Irv Homer.
Yeah.
Irv Homer, hands down. Dominic Quinn was a close second because his vocabulary was so sharp. He could cut you to pieces and you wouldn't even know what happened.
Yeah. Amazing to do that. So, Matt, since we last spoke, Israel in a bit of a period now of feeling this out. We're not exactly sure why. What's your sense? Are people, with Netanyahu in this stasis period, or do they want to move in?
Well, I would say that Netanyahu at this point is done. The only way I could see this guy salvaging anything even close to a legacy is if he resigned and apologized. And he is not alone in being responsible for this disaster, but what he is responsible is for caving into Western pressure to dictate how we handle this crisis. And that is what the average Israeli just can't stomach. The thought of possibly delaying a ground invasion, people are okay with that if we're not ready. We'll trust the militaries for that. But to delay the ground invasion because of Western pressure and to turn on the spigot of, quote, humanitarian relief to Gaza is about the most unhumanitarian thing that we could do because, the United States said that they insisted on a humanitarian corridor and to allow humanitarian supplies in through the Egyptian border. Well, and they said that they would make sure that Hamas didn't use any of those relief supplies coming in. And I don't know how you could guarantee that because Hamas runs the show. Hamas stole the fuel from the UNRWA campus in Gaza. They run everything. So it's a joke. And instead of choking them, everybody, and making them give up our hostages, we're letting them have fuel. We're letting them have water. We're letting them have all types of supplies. And the average Israeli is really fit to be tied.
What's the worst of all worlds, though? The other side of it, though, the bombing continues, and that plays out. The more days you see of this, the more propaganda they get. The media is salivating for that. And I don't know that you're not going to degrade or mitigate or take out Hamas just by bombing.
Not with conventional bombs. Look, we have munitions that can take out hardened bunkers, and I'm not talking nuclear, right? But we have stuff that can do that. And I think the wild card is the hostages, that they don't really know where they are. And I have to tell you, I have heard a few people, not many, but a few people think that the hostages should be, God forgive me, expendable in order to be able to take care of Hamas in a permanent fashion. I'm not really comfortable with that, but I mean, people are talking about it.
Yeah, I can imagine that's absolutely on their minds. So, Matt, you personally now, last time we talked, you talked about your son, and the argument is there will be pretty severe repercussions for Israeli defense forces if they do go in on the ground.
Well, that is, yes. I mean, a ground invasion in Gaza is going to cost Israeli lives. And no one minimizes that here because every single person has someone they love in the army. Every single person. Many people have more than one person. But the country, this massacre was so horrible that the country is actually unified in being willing to pay whatever price is necessary to make sure that this never happens again. That's unheard of in Israel. It's just unheard of. And if our leadership squanders that, I don't know where we go from there. Most Israelis are not, this is their home and they're not going anywhere. I mean, even the Americans that I know here, no, we're not leaving. Absolutely not. The only thing that has some Israelis considering leaving is if our government is so weak that they don't finish the job. Then Israelis might consider leaving. And, we appreciate everybody's support. But I got to tell you, what Joe Biden offered was not support. He offered some nice words, okay? But he wants to have the Palestinian Authority run the show down there. Let me tell your listeners, the Palestinian Authority are the terrorists in suits, okay? Hamas are the terrorists in terrorist outfits. The Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas, pays murderers of Israelis, pays murderers of Americans, okay? They fuel this. They're part of it. Them being in charge will solve nothing. They're the enemy also. So, and I didn't hear him even say Iran.
No, we still have not said that. Now here's
words.
the other card, though. People considering, though, it's a given. They go into Gaza and Hezbollah then attacks. What's the sense of fighting a two-front war, being able to deal with that? People feel confident about that?
People have confidence in our military. Look, my son is up north. We were blessed. He had 24 hours leave. So the other day I got to drive all the way up to almost Kiryat Shmona to pick him up. Man, if Hezbollah crosses the border, there's a lot of soldiers there waiting to take care of them. It's the rockets from Hezbollah that are really the wild card. What's going to happen there? Are they willing to commit completely? No one really knows. But again, the country's willing to take that chance. And, I don't profess to have all the answers or even many, but I know for a fact that giving aid to Gaza is the absolute wrong thing. And I got to tell you, Dom, from Israel, it seems like the world forgot what happened 2.5 weeks ago. All right. They're talking about humanitarian aid into Gaza for the poor people. I got to tell you, the humanitarian aid, we could talk about humanitarian aid when we have all of our hostages out. You shouldn't have a glass of clean drinking water until that happens. And that's the way most Israelis feel.
I think they're right. I'm surprised. And again, Matt, I'm more suspect, not of the military saying to stand down and not move in yet, as much as pressure, 2 hostages a day and all that. I'm very, very suspect of that. So, Matt, the last time you were on, you told us.
Do you know what?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so think about the cost to this country, and I don't want to break it down to dollars and cents, but we have mobilized over 300,000 reservists. Business in Israel is not being conducted as usual. Many businesses are closed because they don't have help. Many businesses are closed and converted into, operations to feed soldiers and take care of them. So we can't take a 4-month siege of Gaza. Okay, the country just can't sustain that. And think about the troops sitting on the border. I got to tell you, the troops, they either want to go fight or they want to come home.
Makes sense. Absolutely. So, that's why this delay is so costly. Matt, last time we talked, how did people get in touch with you? I know a lot of people did.
Well, I am on Facebook. I think it's a public account. You can find me there. I have a Gmail account, but I really don't like email. So just find me on Facebook. I don't do social media that much. So like the cesspool of the world. So, you can send me an email at matthewszucker@gmail.com. I check that probably once a week. And I really appreciate you having me on, Don, because there's so much to say. You would believe what the average Israeli is doing to support our troops, what is happening, the positive light. Forget all the political mishigas. How every person in this country is volunteering for the war effort is truly inspirational. I mean, I drove my son back up north. There's like stands on the side of the road for soldiers and security personnel to come get a cup of coffee or a sandwich. I've been running gear all the way down near the Gaza periphery, all the way up to the north, getting warm clothes and stuff for the soldiers, hot food. It's just the people have really come together. And if you saw the unity of the Israeli people, there's no way we can be defeated. We just have to have our leaders allow us to fight.
Absolutely. Matt, to be continued. We'll talk again, hopefully soon. Thanks, Matt, very much.
Dom, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Dan. You guys, I really appreciate all the support you give Israel, and we'll be in touch.
All right, Matt Zucker here on Talk Radio 1210, 855-839-1210. So, Dan, when are we headed there? It should be a good time to go now. There's a lull. Ben Gurion Airport, you fly right in. It's only 13 hours. Well, I know the spots to do a show from there, the BBC building, probably a Target. All right, 855-839-1210. Hit us alliterative name. Trey Turner, trying to tap into the Phillies a little bit. And again, if you feel confident or nervous, that's fine. But if you feel blah toward the Phillies at this point, it's not over. My God, it's the Diamondbacks. Can they do that again? I'd say no. 855-839-1210. That's how you get in. For years, I've talked about the health benefits of Rescue Natural supplements after making their omega-3s a part of my daily routine. From supporting heart health to providing pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Jeff. He says the benefits of Rescue Omegas are worth it. Helps reduce my inflammation, lower my cholesterol. Been taking it for years. People like Jeff have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get the special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Use the code online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember, the code OMEGA50, OMEGA50. Buy one and get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
I've had the argument made to me, Tom, as a conservative, why would you ever want to support something like national popular vote?
You know, they handed me a book, and I said to the gentleman that had come in to pitch it, why would I ever support this? I mean, are you crazy? Well, it's funny. I went and read the book and became an absolute believer. I get conservatives who say to me, well, why do you want to eliminate the Electoral College? And I have to tell them, this is why you need to read the book.
Article 2, Section 1. It is constitutional. We're not changing the Constitution. If you respect states' rights, if you truly do believe in them, then you respect the states' rights to determine however they want to award their electors. I believe in the Republican message of smaller government, individual liberty, and economic freedom. And if conservatives believe that, then they should support national popular vote.
All right, then. Could this be our nominee? I don't know about the Soros backing, Dan, but I think Soros would love that from this useful tool named Tom Emmer. He's one of these guys too smart from the room. He's brainwashed here. Suddenly, he's going to define a conservative by getting rid of the Electoral College. No, the Electoral College is genius. It was genius then. It's even more genius now. It stops the mobs from just overwhelming us. That's exactly what it does. This national or popular vote is this idea of having states then just determine their electoral votes in some kind of coalition or compact here. We've had them on. We've talked about this. Here's why it's relevant. Tom Emmer is a guy who might end up being the Speaker of the House at this point. My God. So am I going to be lectured to by people saying, well, what's wrong with a little bit of chaos here? You know, remember all that? Again, there was a reason why Kevin McCarthy was the person that somehow or another, after 15 ballots, was able to get over the top. And look, I'm not going to die on the hill. I would prefer Jim Jordan. Whatever the internal craziness of this body is, he apparently couldn't do it. This Emmer guy, though, and I think he was a spokesperson. He ended up being the spokesperson for this of the popular vote. All right. Now, you know that that's the one thing that allowed us to stop the insanity for a while. President Trump only won the 3 states that put him over the top by 44,000 votes. You would just have dominance in this country by California, New York, Illinois. They're working on Texas, all the usual suspects. How would we overcome that?
Are you more embarrassed as a Phillies fan to see the Phillies fans leave in the 8th inning, or as a Republican to see what's happening in the House right now?
Put that one up on Twitter.
Oh, you want a Twitter poll out of that?
Yeah, I'm more embarrassed. Boy, that's a, I mean, I'm more embarrassed by the people defending people leaving that game last night. It shows nothing to me. You talk about fair weather fans. Give me a break. They're only down 5-1. Well, they didn't show up. Hey, you know what? Baseball is rather random. It doesn't mean they're not showing up. They're not trying. Hitting is an inexact science. If you hit 3 out of 10, Dan, you're in the Hall of Fame. So grow up a little bit. Well, the Phillies didn't try last night. So why should I stay as a fan? What do you mean they didn't try? You think Harper's not trying? Well, how do you know they're not trying? Look, a guy like James Harden or someone like that playing basketball, I can see effort. Baseball, it's a lot harder to tell, isn't it? It's easy to say they're trying. Is Castellanos trying? Yeah, he's trying a little bit too much to hit home runs. I'm going to go with bad fans, even over Tom Emmer for now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard question, man. They're both super embarrassing.
All right, at 1:30, we're going to talk with a lawyer about this case in Jersey City suing the state of New Jersey, which is a weed state, to say if you're a cop, you can't get high. And it's the Hunter Biden argument they're making. It's against federal law. He's going to break it down. He gets a lot of these cases. But your calls are next at 855-839-1210. And today, I believe, I have to look it up during the break. I know it's either today or tomorrow. I think it's today. Is the 103rd birthday of Philadelphia's all-time famous and beloved and hated, can be one person, mayor, Frank L. Rizzo. Why is Rizzo still relevant today? He passed away, what? Was it 31 years ago? I have to look it up. Was it 92 or 91? It's 31 or 32 years ago, yet he still the person that people reference in Philadelphia.
1991, Dom.
All right.
July
so
16th, 91.
yeah, so it's 32 years ago. Why is he still relevant today?
Do you know where he died?
Yes, in Center City with Jody Della Barbara, our friend, in his office.
Oh, because on
Yeah,
your Wikipedia it has Thomas Jefferson University Hospital.
Well,
Emergency
yeah, but I
Department.
mean, he died. He really, I think.
Oh, I see what you're
died.
saying. Yeah, it
he may
happened
have-
at the
They
office.
tried
and
to
then-
revive him, but he had the
Yeah.
heart attack in the office.
That's sad.
855-839-1210.